Hey y'all, it's Rhegis from the MorrisMansionBlog.com. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to share with you 10 ways to make your bedroom look really expensive, but for actually very little money. And I think that these ways could be applied to a bunch of different rooms in your house, just kind of with the same concept. And they can also be applied to if you are a renter as well. So if you're interested to see what I'm going to do with my bedroom, then let's get started. So the first thing I suggest is to make your bedroom have a focal point, and for most of us that's going to be our bed. Whether you have a smaller room or a little bit of a larger room like I do, you want to make somewhere for your eye to be drawn. So here are some ways that you can do that. Try adding some curtains to your bed. I really loved the idea of a canopy bed, but what I did is I took a ceiling track curtain rod from Amazon that you could bend and kind of manipulate to the shape that you want. He has this open room and there wasn't really any little nooks or alcoves we could use, so I kind of just had to make one. And the wall where his door was is kind of the best space because it was the shortest wall and it kind of was already just big enough for his bed. So I was able to make curtains go around the bed on two sides. So I just hung the curtains from the ceiling, and then I ordered some really long curtains from Amazon. I think I ordered 4 panels at maybe $50 each. And then they were specifically too long so that I could hem them and use the cutoffs for a valance to cover the white ceiling track. And the curtains that I bought were specifically pleated curtains, and they had the pleating tape already sewn in them. And we even had a weird dip in our in his room. He's got a vaulted ceiling, so like the first part of the curtain is here and then it extends down the slant in his wall. So it's even more like cozy for a little bed nook. And then he just keeps them open and it looks like a 4-poster bed in just this little alcove. And I think it's the cutest thing ever. And it's the first thing you see when you walk in, even though it's to the side, because it's such a focal point. I did something similar in my daughter's room. I actually did a video on this where I did a bed crown canopy, and probably the most expensive part of that little project was the hardware. I think it was about $60 to $70 from Etsy for the smallest one because I didn't need a very large size. She has a twin bed, but if I ever wanted to upgrade it, I would purchase the same thing just in a wider hardware size. And all you need apart from that are curtains, and those you can thrift or again buy from Amazon for very inexpensive. All of the curtains that I used, I either had or I thrifted them. And again, I did a video all about that, so I will link that in the video description down below. But we really did need something to draw the eye up because her ceilings are just as tall as the ones in my son's room, and they are vaulted. So even though she has a really gorgeous bed, it's this gorgeous little like spindle style Jenny Lind bed, it needed a focal point to draw your eye up and fill in the space above the bed. And that canopy was the perfect solution, and it made her feel like a princess, which she is. And in my room, all we did was add a very simple padded headboard behind our bed. We have a very simple, I think, $50 bed frame that we got when we ordered our first bed together. We added this very simple headboard. I really need to do a tutorial specifically on this, but basically all we did was take a sheet of 1/4-inch underlayment. It was the same stuff that I did that wall around my fireplace with, and then we cut it down to the size that we needed, and then we just wrapped it in batting and stapled it to the back with a staple gun, and then wrapped it with an old drop cloth that I had because it was a very neutral color and it has that linen look of a lot of expensive upholstered headboards. And then we used a French cleat and put it on the wall, and that was so easy. And it was still a little something to go behind the under the chair rail and the paneling in our room, and it just really added just that little bit of something to show, okay, this is where the bed goes and this is kind of where things are, and just to make it look like a real bed. And it was so cheap. It was probably not even 50 bucks for all of it. My next idea is to add a rug. I know that there's some controversy and everyone's got their opinion on adding rugs over carpet. I am pro adding a rug because I have carpet in my bedroom and I am really not a huge fan of it, but I still want something to feel cozy under my feet when I am getting up in the morning. So a cozy rug is what you want. Now, you don't have to buy a super expensive rug. I have gotten most of the rugs in my house for under $200. It can ground the space. If you have a lot of colors in your room, on the wall, in your bedding, it can help to really pull everything together, and it just adds another level of cozy and luxury, I think, to a guest bedroom or a spare bedroom or your primary suite. And it's something you can do that it takes very little time and usually very little money. Since we're still talking about the bed area, let's talk about bed linens. Bed linens are one of the easiest ways to update your space and to really give it that luxury hotel feeling. And this doesn't have to cost very much. I have 2 king-size pillows that my husband and I use. And then in front of that, I have 3 big pillows. And in front of that, I have 2 decorative pillows that I got from the thrift store that are those down goose inserts. And I just got different covers for them. And then we have a small little lumbar pillow to go in front. And then we have basic white sheets that I got, I think from Amazon, but they were a wedding gift. And then we have a very plush duvet that I put in a very inexpensive duvet cover from Amazon. And then I have an extra duvet that we use in the wintertime, but when I make the bed, it's one of the colors in our room. So I put it at the edge of the bed for just looking extra fluffy and cozy. And then sometimes I'll even throw another just blanket on there that we have. I found brand new duvets that are from Target at Goodwill. They seem to have a correlation, but if you hunt and look long enough, you can find things inexpensively or secondhand, and you can find great things secondhand on eBay and on Etsy that can really style your bed beautifully for a great price. So the next thing is also to do with those kind of more soft textiles in the room is to hang curtains. Before, we didn't have anything on the windows in our room, and it just looked so broken up and disjointed, and I didn't like how none of the windows were the same size. We couldn't get the same shades for them, and I really wanted them to look a little more cohesive. So all I did was order some very inexpensive rods, some very inexpensive curtain rods from Amazon, and some of those curtain rings. And then I ordered some pleating hooks. And then we went to IKEA and got 3 or 4 sets of I need to look it up. I have a blog post about it, but we got these just cream curtains. They already have the pleating tape sewn in them. You can even get the pleating hooks from Amazon, but when I went, they didn't have them, so I had to order them from Amazon. And then on the rings, I took off the little clip part and just hung the rings on the rod, placed the pleats maybe every 3 or 4 so that I got that nice pleating pattern. And then I hemmed them at the bottom with some very easy no-sew tape, and then hung them all to where the curtains just go continuously all across the one wall and the other wall, and it looks like a continuous wall of curtains and windows. And I think it looks so much more elevated than just having a bunch of different windows with different heights and different things, trying to match up and make it look cohesive with different window treatments. I just covered them all with curtains and ran them all the way across the wall. And then when you're hanging curtains, you also want to hang them all the way, like as high as you can to the ceiling, and then as wide as you can. You're not always going to be able to do that. I've had trouble with some of the other windows in my home, but if you do that enough, it really can change the look of your window, make them look bigger or longer. Window treatments, and again, they don't have to be designer. You can buy your own. You just need some nice looking curtains, some pleating tape if you don't have that with the curtains that you buy, and then you have to be able to hem them. And it's just a little bit easier of an alternative, and it's a no-sew method, and so I was all for that. But I have a blog post all about that, so I will link that down below as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the furniture. It's an easy way to make your room look more expensive than it is. And the way that I would do that is by having mixed matched furniture. And what I mean by mixed matched furniture is maybe you have 2 side tables, but they're not exactly the same. As long as they fit your vibe and aesthetic, and most importantly, you love them, it doesn't really matter what you have. I was just using that as an example. I think a way to make it look more elevated is to have pieces that look like they've come together over time from different periods in your life. And a great way to do that is to mix your furniture styles, even mix the modern and contemporary in with the more, aged, vintage and thrifted and antique furniture. Going back to furniture, if you have pieces of furniture that you can't just give away, but it's just not your style, you can totally update it by either stripping down the furniture or by painting it. Most of the time, it's just an old, crappy piece of furniture and you really don't have the money to replace it. What do? Most of us will just give the thing a lick of paint. So let me tell you what paint you want to get, because it's like an all-in-one thing. Or you can make your own chalk paint. I have a blog post on that. I will link that down below. But the paint I used on my cabinets in my bathroom in like one of the first videos I ever did, I painted over the old cabinets. And it's this one and done paint. You don't have to sand, you don't have to seal. It is an oil enriched enamel paint. And it's from Valspar. And it's a furniture and cabinet paint. And you can get it tinted. And it is awesome. And that's what I used on my nightstands, and they still look perfect. And it was just these cheap, I'm talking cheap, $7 a piece nightstands that I found at Goodwill, and I added new legs and I cleaned them. I didn't sand anything. I cleaned them and then I painted them and then added new hardware, and that's all I did. Such an amazing result when you see what a little paint and hardware can do to furniture, especially to make it look like a completely new piece of furniture. One of my favorite things to do to make your bedroom feel really cozy but also lived in and organic is to add living things. So add in plants, add in florals. If you are a girl like me who kills every plant that she buys and then just is sad when flowers die, then faux florals are definitely okay to use. I have a couple of floral bouquets in my room that I just love, whether it's a really big, beautiful bouquet or just a small little thing on top of books on your nightstand. There's just something about seeing some flowers or some greenery that can just kind of make the home, again, feel lived in and cozy and like you want to be there. One of my favorite things to add into a room is a thrifted gallery wall. My daughter has this gorgeous little space in her room. We've just made it this little thrifted gallery wall, and it was all thrifted art and thrifted frames, and it came together beautifully. I actually just added a new piece from something I found at a little boutique in town that I went shopping at on my birthday. And so I have shown that many times on the channel, and you guys have loved it and told me how much you love it. So thank you very much. But that's one of my favorite spaces in her room and the house. Or you could do a gallery wall of mirrors, create a space filled with things that you love and things that make you happy, things that bring you joy. It's one of the best parts about designing a room for yourself. And using different lighting, you want to change the bulbs. Even if you only change the bulbs and then bring in your own lighting, you don't actually change any light fixtures. You want to make sure you're using the light bulbs that have a warmth to them, something that has a little more of a yellow tinge instead of a blue tinge, which would be more of the cool toned lights, because that is going to give you a more cold antiseptic feeling light, like hospital or fluorescent light. And you want something that is more cozy and just warm. The lighting can also just create a very warm and cozy atmosphere, which is what you want in your own bedroom. If you can update the lighting, Amazon has many options for very inexpensive semi-flush mount and flush mount lights that you can completely change your boob light situation. Even if you're renting, you can change those, and then before you move out, put the other one back. Layering all of that lighting, again, it makes it feel like you have crafted your perfect bedroom over time and just makes it look so much more put together and adult. And last but not least is this is a little more of an ambitious project. I really wanted to add a faux fireplace in her room. And that is all from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some inspiration to elevate our spaces and make them cozy and cute, but you know, totally doable on a small budget and to look really expensive. And if you did like something in this video, please like the video and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. As always, thanks so much for stopping by the mansion, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.